Who truly stands with Israel in 2025? Which powerful nations continue to back Israel in its conflict with Palestine, and why? Is it about politics, defense deals, or something even deeper? In this video, we reveal the top 10 countries that openly and secretly support Israel with weapons, intelligence, billions in aid, and international protection. You'll be shocked by some names, and even more shocked by the figures, percentages, and secret alliances behind them. Do you support Israel or Palestine? Drop your opinion in the comments. Don't hold back. Make sure to like, subscribe, and watch till the end, because the #1 supporter might just change how you see global politics forever. Let's dive in. Number 10, Hungary, led by Prime Minister Viktor Orbán, continues to be one of Israel's most reliable defenders within the European Union. In 2025, Hungary blocked multiple EU statements criticizing Israel's operations in Gaza, insisting that Israel must defend itself against terrorism. Orbán called Israel a strategic partner in stability and security in January 2025. Since 2022, Hungary has deepened economic and tech ties with Israel, focusing on joint ventures in cybersecurity, water tech, and energy. In 2023, Hungary imported over 3 million euros in Israeli defense equipment. The two countries launched a new AI surveillance cooperation program in April 2025. Hungary was one of only 4 EU nations to vote against a UN Human Rights Council resolution condemning Israel in 2024. Orbán's government also defied pressure from Brussels by reaffirming support for Israeli sovereignty in Jerusalem, keeping its diplomatic office in the city. Public support in Hungary leans pro-Israel, and Orbán uses this relationship to signal opposition to woke EU foreign policies. Hungary's role is not about military muscle, but about shielding Israel diplomatically in Europe, time and again. Number 9, Czech Republic. The Czech Republic has earned a reputation as Israel's loudest European cheerleader. In 2023, President Petr Pavel visited Israel just weeks after the Hamas attacks, declaring our support is unconditional. Czech lawmakers were among the first in Europe to condemn Hamas as a terrorist group and praise Israel's response as self-defense. By 2024, the Czech Republic approved military export licenses worth 8 million euros, including small arms, optics, and radar components. In February 2025, Czech defense companies secured contracts to upgrade Israeli armored vehicles and drone systems. Public opinion also leans strongly pro-Israel, with over 62% of Czech citizens supporting Israel, according to a 2024 Eurobarometer survey. Czech leaders opposed EU sanctions on Israel and vetoed efforts to suspend trade talks. At the UN, the Czech ambassador voted against multiple ceasefire proposals in 2024 and 2025, citing Israel's right to self-defense. Though a small country, the Czech Republic punches above its weight in foreign policy. Its support for Israel in 2025 remains loud, clear, and deeply rooted in historical solidarity, especially given shared experiences under totalitarian regimes. Number 8, India. India's growing bond with Israel is no longer a secret, it's strategic. Since Narendra Modi became Prime Minister, ties with Israel have deepened across military, intelligence, and tech sectors. In 2023, India was Israel's largest arms buyer, purchasing over $2.9 billion worth of military hardware, including drones, radar, and missile defense systems. When the 2023 Gaza conflict reignited, India expressed concern about civilian casualties but stopped short of condemning Israel. In 2025, India continues to walk this delicate path. Modi's government has publicly called for peace, but privately ramped up military cooperation. The two countries conducted joint naval drills in March 2025, focusing on anti-submarine warfare and cyber defense. India abstained from key UN votes in late 2024 and again in early 2025, showing silent but calculated support. Intelligence ties have also grown, with Mossad and India's RAW Research and Analysis Wing reportedly sharing intel on regional threats. Economically, Israel and India are working on a free trade agreement expected to reach $12 billion in annual trade by 2026. Despite domestic criticism from Indian Muslims and opposition leaders, the Modi government keeps Israel as a key defense and tech ally. Number 7, Australia. Australia may be geographically distant, but politically it remains one of Israel's closest allies in the Asia-Pacific region. In 2025, under Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, Canberra reaffirmed its support by blocking key UN resolutions demanding an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. Australia argued that Israel has a right to defend itself, while recognizing the humanitarian toll. In 2023, Australia exported $6.5 million in dual-use technology and surveillance systems to Israel. Meanwhile, Israeli defense companies like Elbit Systems have been training Australian soldiers since 2018, contracts that continue through 2025. Australia was also home to a strong pro-Israel lobby, influencing both major parties. Despite rising domestic protests in Sydney and Melbourne, the Australian government has refused to cut military or intelligence ties. In January 2025, the Defense Ministry confirmed ongoing cybersecurity cooperation with Israel and pledged to expand joint military drills in the Indo-Pacific. Australia's stance is nuanced. While humanitarian aid is sent to Gaza and officials voice concern over civilian harm, the government avoids publicly criticizing Israel. Behind closed doors, diplomatic cables show Australia coordinates intelligence with both Tel Aviv and Washington. Number 6. Italy. Italy's support for Israel is often overlooked, but in 2025, it's surprisingly strong. In November 2023, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni pledged that Italy will always stand with Israel against terror. During the 2023 Gaza war, Italy dispatched 2 Navy vessels to the eastern Mediterranean in support of NATO allies and Israeli maritime safety. Italy exported 9.8 million euros worth of arms to Israel in 2023, including military-grade radar systems, ammunition, and training equipment. The Italian-Israeli defense relationship has grown steadily, with Leonardo Spa, Italy's top defense contractor, actively partnering with Israel on avionics and drone tech. In early 2025, Italy hosted a trilateral summit with Israel and Greece, focusing on cyber defense and energy cooperation. While Rome has expressed concern about civilian deaths in Gaza, it has refused to halt arms sales or impose sanctions. Italy also consistently abstained or voted no on UN resolutions condemning Israel in late 2024 and early 2025. Italian-Israeli trade hit 4.6 billion euros in 2024, with defense and high-tech collaboration leading the charge. Italy walks a fine diplomatic line, but when push comes to shove, it still aligns militarily and politically with Israel. Number 5, Canada. Canada might not be loud in international headlines, but its support for Israel is concrete and growing. In early 2024, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's administration approved over $21 million in military export licenses for Israel, including rockets, bombs, and night vision systems. Canadian defense firms such as CAE Incorporated and L3 Harris have ongoing contracts with Israeli security forces. In October 2023, Trudeau condemned Hamas's actions and affirmed Israel's right to defend itself. But by March 2024, human rights advocates in Canada filed a lawsuit demanding that Ottawa halt all weapons shipments to Israel, citing violations of international humanitarian law. This created a political firestorm, but Trudeau stood firm, emphasizing that Canada's support for Israel is rooted in democratic values and shared security. Canada also continues to oppose UN resolutions that single out Israel. Despite pressure from pro-Palestinian voices, the Canadian government insists on maintaining strong economic and military ties with Tel Aviv. In 2025, Canada's stance remains unchanged, quiet but committed. Number 4. Germany. Why does Germany support Israel so strongly in 2025? The answer lies in a unique mix of moral responsibility and strategic alignment. After the Holocaust, Germany pledged to protect Israel's right to exist, and that promise translates into military and diplomatic backing today. Between 2019 and 2023, 30% of Israel's major arms imports came from Germany. In 2023 alone, Germany supplied Israel with 326 million euros worth of weapons, including naval submarines, anti-tank missiles, and radar systems. In October 2023, Chancellor Olaf Scholz emphasized that Israel's security is Germany's raison d'etre. Germany was among the first to send military gear and surveillance drones during the Gaza escalation. But in 2024, things started shifting. Approvals for arms exports to Israel dropped drastically to only 14.5 million euros between January and August 2024. This was due to public pressure, legal petitions, and concerns over war crimes in Gaza. Germany continues to veto anti-Israel resolutions at the EU level and provides humanitarian aid to both sides. While Berlin walks a tightrope, it still stands firmly behind Israel's right to defend itself. Number 3. France. France presents a complex picture. While French leaders regularly condemn the violence in Gaza, France still backs Israel diplomatically. In October 2023, President Emmanuel Macron made a bold visit to Jerusalem, where he strongly denounced Hamas and stated France stands with Israel. France also offered intelligence sharing assistance to help identify underground Hamas tunnels. French arms exports to Israel are modest compared to the US or Germany, but security cooperation remains active. In 2023, France sold $21 million worth of military-grade optics, electronics, and surveillance equipment to Israel. By February 2025, Macron supported a UN resolution urging a humanitarian truce, but stopped short of condemning Israel outright. In May 2025, France joined the UK and Canada in threatening concrete consequences over the humanitarian disaster in Gaza. However, military intelligence cooperation and trade ties continued behind the scenes. France balances its image as a human rights advocate with its status as a global power, and in that balance, Israel still finds a friend. Number 2, United Kingdom. The United Kingdom's support for Israel runs deep, stretching back to the Balfour Declaration of 1917, but in 2025, it's far more than historical. In 2022 alone, the UK granted $52.5 million in arms export licenses to Israel, with unlimited value open licenses also in play. Following the October 2023 Hamas attacks, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak quickly flew to Tel Aviv and declared full support. "We stand with you in Israel's darkest hour." In January 2024, the UK government confirmed that military intelligence was being shared with Israel to help identify militant targets. The Royal Navy's presence in the Eastern Mediterranean in late 2023 also signaled active strategic alignment. However, pressure from human rights groups and opposition parties in parliament grew after reports of rising civilian casualties in Gaza. By April 2025, trade negotiations between the UK and Israel were paused. In May, the UK imposed sanctions on Israeli settlers in the West Bank involved in extremist violence, citing deep concerns over international law. Yet, military support hasn't fully stopped. Britain's role in vetoing EU sanctions on Israel shows it still stands closer to Tel Aviv than most. Number 1, United States. Did you know the United States has remained Israel's strongest ally for decades? And 2025 is no different? The US government continues to stand firmly with Israel in both words and action. In October 2023, Congress approved a $14.5 billion emergency aid package to support Israel's military operation. Between 2019 and 2023, a staggering 69% of Israel's major weapons came from the US, including F-35 fighter jets, precision bombs, and Iron Dome interceptors. In 2024, the Biden administration reaffirmed its unwavering commitment by vetoing 3 UN Security Council resolutions that called for humanitarian pauses in Gaza. In February 2025, the U.S. State Department again confirmed its ironclad support for Israel, even amid growing international criticism about the humanitarian toll in Gaza. Over $3.8 billion in military aid is given annually under a 10-year deal signed in 2016. Meanwhile, U.S. defense companies like Lockheed Martin and Raytheon continue to supply Israel's defense systems. Despite growing protests inside the U.S., both Democratic and Republican leaders have maintained that Israel has a right to self-defense. Whether through diplomatic shields or direct funding, America remains Israel's top strategic partner. Understanding the global dynamics of the Israel-Palestine conflict reveals the complexities of international alliance. These 10 countries, through military, diplomatic, and economic means, shape the ongoing narrative. As the situation evolves, so too will these relationships. Stay informed, stay critical, and continue exploring the nuances of global politics.